Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Malkin with me, Reggaeton. Let's meet with the King's people. When will my love give back my heart? For many days we've been apart. And every hour passes like the tread of death. He sends no word. I fear his heart is with another, and that he says to her he loves her. His tongue is sweet, his eyes betray but little cruelty, his touch is warm. I hear his step now in my dreams, where every night he comes to me. I wish to dream of him forevermore, and never wake. A woman sat beneath the shade of an oak tree. She was wearing a thick layer of makeup. The blanket she sat on was strewn with parchment, as she turned a tree stump at her side into a table for a quill and ink. You know, she said to Donald, I thought these woods were just woods. Nothing special about them. I said so to the minister. I said so to the ambassador. I would have said the same thing to the king, but he can't hear anything. Well, our first day taught me a lesson. The Congress of Moths jumped right out of a legend and into our camp. And now, during our second week, a witch stumbles through. Welcome. I'm either Oksana or Ohana, aide-de-camp to the Minister of Peace. You can call me Donald. A pleasure. I understand you're supposed to talk to the minister. He's at the king's tent with the ambassador. The Minister of Peace was talking to another man near a proud-looking tent. He greeted Donald, and this, he said, is Newdow's ambassador to either Juan or Vaughn. My name is Astamund. A pleasure to meet you. It's a pretty cool name. A guttural choking sound interrupted them. It came from the tent. Looking inside, Donald saw a feeble old man, mouth open wide, fast asleep and snoring loudly. He was propped up on a pile of velvet cushions. The minister loosened the cords that kept the tent flaps open. Donald could no longer see the old man, but his snores were still audible. You must want to know why we want to talk to you. The ambassador will tell you some of the details. Then we'll get to business. The king looks very frail. Why did you bring him through the woods? Why indeed, said Astamund, more to the minister than to Donald. We'll explain. We're escorting His Majesty to Juan. There, we'll discuss the fate of Gund, a strip of land in the mountains between our countries. One of the warlike governors took Gund by force a century ago. It belongs to us. We hope to convince Juan to give it back. This land must be very valuable. It's a barren scrap. Nothing grows there. There's no ore. Hardly any people. That said, put forward the minister, it belonged to Dudao for centuries before Juan invaded. There are things that have no price. Honor, pride, the claims an ancient kingdom has to its own soil. The ambassador said nothing. Why approach Juan about this now? As you've seen, His Majesty is old. His daughter Zedai will inherit the throne, sooner rather than later, we think. Zedai believes that Juan's possession of Gund is shameful and urgent, a casus belli. His Majesty does not share her views. He hopes that going to the Grand Governor's palace will signal how important the friendship between our countries is. Would the king's daughter really try to start a war with Juan? I hope not, but there's popular support for reclaiming Gund. Some people romanticize such disputes. Needless to say, a war between the countries would be a disaster for Dudao. Juan would swallow us whole. Our generals don't think so, Astamund. Juan isn't what it was 50 or even 10 years ago, and Dudao is not its only enemy. Dudao isn't Juan's enemy, Minister. Please remember that this is a diplomatic mission. Remember His Highness's wishes. I do, Astamund. As one of the king's own cabinet, it is my duty to remember his wishes. I do. Don't accuse me of forgetting, and don't you forget your place. The two glared at each other. Donald waited. Apologies, said Astamund to Donald. Yes, let's not keep our young guests wandering. Normally, we'd avoid these woods. There are safer roads for a king to travel. But the minister persuaded His Highness to seek out the witches who live here. It's said that witches can see the future, the minister said, whispering for some reason. Isn't that so? We receive visions, not prophecies. The old legends say that in times of great uncertainty, brave kings have entered these woods and sought the witches. Some stories say the house is in the north, others in the south. Some say it's timber, and others say it's made of stone. But all agree that the witches' prophecies have changed the fate of the kingdom many times. Interesting stories, remarked Astamund, emphasizing the second word. There are more than stories to His Majesty. No vision tells the whole truth, but there's no whole truth to tell, the witch cautioned. The minister wasn't interested in his caveat. Will you tell us what you see? I will try. I may see nothing. The two men stared at Donald expectantly, as if hoping to see some glimpse of the vision themselves. It had been a long time since someone asked Donald for a vision, and visions could be fickle. Recent experience made that plain. Moreover, if the kings of Dudao used to consult Eldest Lady, would a mere minister consulting an as-of-yet covenanless witch do the trick? But then, a stony crag, a woman kneeling on top of it. She had driven a sword into the chest of a man. She stood, using the sword as a support, but then slipped. Her left hand waved frantically in thin air, but her right still gripped the hilt of the sword. The vision ended before she either fell or recovered her balance. Donna related the vision to the ambassador and the minister. To die, it must be. What did she look like? We don't really see detail in that way. Our visions are more like ideas. If it was to die, the vision seems like a warning. A warning? How? Her enemy was dead. She didn't fall when she slipped. You jump to conclusions. Maybe the slain man was Dudao, and maybe the woman wasn't Princess Dai at all. Maybe she was the Grand Governor of Wan. She said to fight with a sword. Nonsense. Can you tell us what it means, witch? I can tell you no more than what the vision showed me. The ambassador and minister argued for several minutes about the meaning of the vision. Where the ambassador saw doom, the minister saw promise. To the minister, the vision validated his conviction that Dudao had a strong position, not to be bold with Wan. To the ambassador, the vision suggested that Dudao's position was precarious at best, assuming anything truthful could be learned from a wandering witch. Finally, the ambassador suggested waking up the king and letting him decide. You're right, but if he's sleeping deeply, we'll let him rest. He has so much trouble if he doesn't get enough rest. The Minister of Peace turned to Donald. Thank you for coming. We've had a vision from a witch and can stop looking for Eldest Lady's house. Yes, maybe now we can get back on the road. Soon. We'll set out for Enzabar within the week, once His Majesty is fit to travel again. It occurs to me, young witch, you return to us tomorrow, in case His Majesty wants to meet you and hear the vision from your lips himself. Of course. Satisfied, the ambassador and Minister of Peace said their farewells and went into the king's tent, closing the flaps behind them. The young witch had a vision and described it to the Minister of Peace and Astamund. The minister asked the witch to come back the next day in case the king wanted to hear a description of the vision from the witch's own lips. Hello again. Can I help you with anything? Do you have any news from the outside world? Back in the capital, everyone's nervous about what will happen when the King Cetus dies. I don't pay much attention to news from other parts. It's never reliable. A strange tale sometimes contains strange truths. I'm not interested in strange truths. Normal truths are trouble enough. Is there anything else? What does the aide-de-camp of the minister do exactly? Oh, you don't want to hear about that. My duties are very dull. Accounts, logistics, that sort of thing. My life before serving the minister was much more exciting. Now I'm old enough to recognize the charm of a little dullness. Your life before? What was that like? What could possibly make you interested in all that? Oksana said. Despite the woman's words, Donald could see that his curiosity flattered her. Oh, go on. I have a few minutes to spare. Truly. Well, I have to begin quite far back. Oksana's story. When I was young, there were many who loved me. I don't pretend to have beauty now, or if I do, it's the beauty of a painting, not the beauty of a young person. Look at my face. I'm a good painter, aren't I? Yes, very good, said the young witch, not sure what he was supposed to say. Anyway, there are many who loved me, and none I loved back. My father was a distant cousin of the king. My mother was a daughter of a courtier. I was brought up in the court of Cetus II. I was spoiled and insincere. No one satisfied me. Everyone fell short. I had no interest in anything and felt life to be only the ebb and flow of dull, familiar pleasures. But go on. When I was 18, I accepted the hand of a rich but nameless merchant. Everyone turned against me, but how could I say no? He had more money than the petty lords who'd thrown themselves in my way. But it wasn't just that. He was handsome, a man of the world outside Dudao. I relished the rumors of disgrace that clung to him. How handsome was he? I'm bad at describing looks. He was thin but strong, a traveler, a rough sort of beard, and, well, you get the idea. He was himself, which is all the handsomeness in the world to me. Well, I soon learned that he was no merchant at all, but a pirate. We had a wild life together. He took me up and down strange coasts, across the sea and back. Our adventures bound only by the horizons. In my own stupid and not very deep way, I think I loved him. A pirate? I didn't expect that. It's as good as a story, isn't it? That life didn't last long. One day, we plundered a merchant ship. The ship appeared to be alone, but was in the rear of a Dudovian naval convoy. Officers captured and executed him before my eyes. I could still see the sun gleaming on the ocean. I begged them to spare me, pleading my connections, spluttering the names of half-forgotten friends from my past life. I see the pleading worked. The right connections have power, even in the middle of the ocean. They spared me and took me home. My parents were dead, and I found myself estranged from everyone I'd known. Someone in the royal court must have taken pity on you. No, not at all. Piracy taught me how to survive and how to live. I knew how to make my fortune out of others' misfortune, how to lend copper and collect gold, how to have money, how to enjoy it. I secretly kept some of my husband's treasure. I set myself up as a woman of business, with a handful of twice-stolen jewels. That was my life for 10 years. At the end of them, I decided to try court life again. My pedigree counted for something. My new riches didn't hurt. Eventually I became what you behold today, aide-de-camp of the Minister of Peace. A fine story. Thank you for indulging me. A witch's indulgence is a very rare thing. But now I should return to my ledgers and invoices, unless you had something else to ask. I do. Go ahead. What's your opinion of this mission to Juan? My opinion doesn't matter. I'm afraid the minister wouldn't approve of it. But he doesn't ask me. You don't need to worry about me telling him anything. Witches aren't known for their trustworthiness and discretion. But we are known for getting our way. I hope you aren't thinking of hexing me. The ambassador and minister are rivals for the king's opinion. Astaman wants to arrange formal, regular talks about the disputed territory. The minister wants to signal to the Grand Governor that Dudao is unafraid to stand up to her. So I've gathered, But what is your opinion? She looked from side to side. Children shouldn't poke bears, she said. Could Juan really be provoked? The Grand Governor has problems of her own. Provincial governors who act like princes. Cartels that have grown too powerful. A rich antagonist that poses little threat might be just the thing. Interesting. Thanks for telling me. Is there anything else? I'm looking for a murderer. A hunter who lives in these woods. I can't help you with that, and I doubt anyone here can. We arrived only a week ago, and we've seen no one, unless you count the Congress of Moths. She shuddered. Then let me ask you about something else. Go ahead. On second thought, I should be going. Farewell. Adano saw a distinctive plant growing amid the dead leaves and pine needles. It had a pinnate or pennant, leaves in golden, phlox-like flowers. It was royal dandelion, a prized flower of Dudau's woods. He collected some. What does that do? Alright, heals hit points and recovers spell points. The air was dry and carried a pleasant breeze. Boulders thrown down in ages past signaled the nearness of the mountains. How close are we to the mountains? Alright, so I guess we'll head towards the Woodcutter's cabin next. It may give us a fast travel point. Then try to get back on this path and continue northward and clear out these paths. And that'll have cleared out the entire eastern and most of the central part of the map. We have this meadow down here to do as well. But we have to head west to reach that. A fawn the color of twilight leaped across the path. Another followed close behind. Donald watched and waited. A large doe came out behind them. She was purplish black, like a bruise. She turned her head and stared at Donald. She made a huffing sound. Discontent, fear, warning. The young witch continued to watch and wait. The deer gave some silent signal to her children, and the three ran off into the darkness of the woods. It'd be cool if the spell that we took would have played a role there. Alright, so we want to go west here. Or west. What did I get there? There's more royal dandelion. Oh, I think I left it for experience by accident. Hey, but we leveled up, so I'll take it. I'm gonna go with Swordplay 3. It gives us +1 attack per turn. That's too good to pass up. Now, Flush of Youth is interesting. It gives us a healing and spell point recovery, and it costs nothing. But we could also get the Bristling of the Fire Cat, which I'm really excited about. Summons a strong 8 hit point minion with +6 attack bonus who does 5 to 7 fire damage that lasts for 3 rounds. It costs spell points instead of hit points. So, we'll take that. The path met another running north and south. To the south it was narrow and grassy. To the north, wider and better used. But north and south would have to wait. 3 of Congress's magistrates step out of a portal and onto the path. The trio brace themselves for the inevitable fight. Keep doing that. Alright, this time the Usher of the Moth Rod is vulnerable to cold. Ouchies. Taking acid damage every turn. Alright, making good progress. Take care of that elf candle. Got our way through this guy on the way through. Wow, 16 damage. Oh, that's right, he's weak to cold, and our blade does cold damage. A dry, pine-scented wind scattered the moths. Donna noticed a small, well-trodden path to the north. A pile of wood stacked and a neat pile sat beside it. that is where the Woodcutter's at. A partly cloudy and wet morning gave way to a sun as hot as vengeance. Just as the day was brightening, Sebin materialized with her sack of goods. She took a monocle from her bag and put it on, frowning and pursing her lips. Then she laughed, tossed it back in, and showed Donald what she'd brought. But we can sell a handful of things. I'll probably never use this. Double clicking is gonna make that darn ding. Let's sell any redundant gems that we have. Dorisic Cravat. Also on Charisma, plus 10% cold resist. Lord Signet Ring. So on Armor class, plus 10% all resistances. Definitely gonna grab that. Belched Monocle. So using combat to cast Disapproving Glance. 1 to 4 magic damage. I know no magic trees, no balmy bows. No silver ruddy, gold vermilion fruits. Paula Stevens, Lamonical, Demon Uncle. Another Key of Dross, we should probably grab that. Definitely going to grab that ring, and I think the monocle is worth it. It's an extra ability. Oh, there's other stuff too. What do we have here? Moth-Rod Replica. Melee weapon. Doesn't say two-handed, so we could use it with a shield. Minus 3 attack bonus. 1 to 2 fire damage. On scoring a successful hit with this weapon, the target is afflicted with the effects of Rod of Zero Thinks. 5 cold damage, enemies afflicted with shaken for 3 rounds, 20% chance of working, will modifies. Girdle Book. So it's an offhand item, plus 1 intelligence, minus 10% fire resist, and minus 1 dexterity. I think the Felch Monocle would be nice to have. I don't think that we can afford it though. That's a pretty good helmet to have on hand. So unfortunately, I think we have to let that one pass. But we got a couple of items. The ring and... what else did we pick up? Oh, a Key of Dross. Click on that thinking it's going to open up the map. Yeah, north one more time. If I go east at some point, get on the other path it looks like. Get away east from where we're currently at. Oh, there's a way east, but that's where we just came from, isn't it? Grab this item real quick. Alright, like some pig onion. Check back this way. Oh, there's a northern path. Good. That's where we go next. Alright, found the Woodcutter. New landmark discovered. Woodcutter's cabin added to map. There? A tiny glade sat north of the Woodcutter's cabin. Light filtered through the dark branches of the trees and fell on a large stump with an axe in it. The axe was probably the Woodcutter's. It was far too big for the boy. There's an inscription on a plaque set into the stump. It said, "For the one who'd brandished me, have you heard the secret sea?" We ran across this kid earlier. Donald recognized the boy he'd met earlier, the Woodcutter's son. He was chopping wood. This place looked to be his home. He saw a cabin, stacks of wood, and a number of felled trees, but no sign of the Woodcutter himself. The boy heard the crunching of leaves and looked up at the witch, startled. Something startled Pharaoh too. He darted from Pharaoh's shoulder, up to a very high branch in a pine. "Oh, it's you again." Woodcutter's son relaxed. "Why did you come here?" "Is your father here? I'd like to see what he knows about these woods." "Father? No. He's away." The boy returned to chopping wood. "When will he be back?" "I can't really say." "Well, where did he go?" He wiped sweat from his brow and shrugged. "I don't know." "I see." "If I see him," he said, "I'll tell him you were looking for him." "That isn't necessary." The boy continued his work, and didn't acknowledge the remark. There was a question in the boy's look. "You're back." "Hello to you too. Any news?" "News." The boy shook his head and went back to work. The Woodcutter's son is whittling something. "You're back." Same question. Donna read the words on the plaque again. "The one who'd brandished me, have you heard the secret sea?" I'm excited to have an axe. Alright, I'm going to call it here, and next time, we're going to continue north along this path. We have 2 areas of interest north of us. We go along this path, so I'll probably stick to the eastern side first, go up to the cave, then loop back down to the waterfall on the western side, and come back down. And then, hopefully we can do all that today. And then on the next day, we'll fast travel to the rural encampment, where we speak to the minister and ambassador again. And then we want to go west. And we'll save this path up to the mountain for later. Try and knock out this section next. I'll try and head down this way, loop around to the meadow so we can finish clearing out this half of the map. At least that's the current plan. But you know how plans are. Well, either way for now, I'm going to call it here. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.